Welcome back to the GSL Code A Round 1, Day 3-1 is our morning session. And up next, we're going to have Vines against Life. We already saw 2 FX Open players fall. And remember, guys, with these Round 1 matches, all the players who lose today are out of the GSL, and FXO Tree and JKS, they are both now Code B players.
Exactly, indeed they are. And we had one Code B player that advanced to this round. It is Xenix Life. And Life certainly made a name for himself in the GSTL. He's up against Mines now. Certainly not a bad player, but I'm really excited to see what Life is going to do here. After this performance in the GSTL, I have to say this guy is definitely a rising star.
Yeah, certainly so. You know, Vines and Life both coming from GSTL backgrounds. We'll see what they can do here. The first map is going to be Atlantis Spaceship. And we are going to jump into it in just a few seconds while you guys enjoy this electronic guitar sound. At the left side of this 2-player map, formerly an OGS player, currently playing for Empire. It is Empire Vines, aka Venus.
And to the top, in the blue, we have his opponent. Starting for the Xenix team here, we have the one and only Life. Pretty strong player.
Yeah.
Really excited to see how well he's going to do in the GSL, if he's able to go to the next round, or if he will drop back down into Code B.
Despite the fact that Life has actually, his team has lost in the GSTL already, they were eliminated very early on, he's still top 3 for points for individual players in the team league because he got so many kills. Guy is insane. And this is really exciting for Xenix fans, especially Life fans, to be able to see him finally have his moment in the GSL. This guy has knocked Karn out of Code B qualifier several times, and you know, I think this is actually the first time Life is actually qualified. You know, Line is oftentimes confused with Life, but they're very different players. They look very different as well.
Yeah, indeed they do.
And well, Line changes ID to Suhoshin anyways, but that makes it, I guess, a little bit less confusing. We're going to see Vines go Forge before Nexus, which is interesting because this map is so huge. Most people go Nexus first here.
Yeah, they definitely do. And usually we have a Nexus first on this map because you can definitely get away with it if you send out one of your probes early on to have a quick look if your opponent is starting with an early pool or not. Then you are super safe. But that's the standard build that we usually have. Players like Marine King in this matchup always start with their command center first, so early expansions are nothing out of the ordinary here. We already have the expansion up for Life, and of course he was not bothered by any kind of probe, as Mines did not send out one just yet. But let's see what exactly Life is going to do. He starts with this gas here, and as I said, I'm really interested to see what he is showing us today, what Life has up his sleeve in order to advance the next round of the tournament.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more style out of Life. Like, in the team league, when you play several matches, sometimes it's kind of like very impromptu, because you know your first opponent, if you're a starting player like Life was, but then you kind of don't expect to all kill, and then you do, and at that point you kind of have to play as you go because you're playing against so many different opponents, and you kind of just have to use your raw talent and skills. But for a match that you can prepare for and study your opponent for, you know, several days in advance, weeks in advance in this case, and you know the style of Vines, there's a lot of televised matches of him. He's not going to be studying Vines on Steps of War against Zerg players from open seasons where he cannon rush. He's not going to be studying that, but he's going to be trying to find out anything else he can, and he just has a lot more preparation this time, so I think this is going to be really exciting for us to see. Look at this.
We already
super fast layer like he's known for.
He's known for the super fast layer, and he really loves to go for an early tech, and this is exactly what he does. Even on Atlantis Spaceship, he's really comfortable with this build. We've seen it over and over again when he performed in the GSTL. We had a couple of really interesting games that he played against the Team Liquid. It was really too funny to see when he actually started to against Team Liquid, and he took down so many players. And the TL guys were pretty happy when he performed in the next tournament and the next team matches really well, because they were, okay, this guy is not a fluke. There was not him just being really bad and beating us, but he's actually that good. So people started to realize that it was not because of the opponents that he faced, but that this guy is actually like a really decent player.
Yeah.
So now with the style that he chose, not getting a third just yet. He starts to go immediately for his lair, and this is exactly what he's comfortable with. He kind of joked about how fast he actually gets the lair, everything.
We did. And you know, he tried so hard to deny that probe from seeing they didn't have a third base, but he saw
Look at the production tab.
Nidus.
This is something that we have not seen out of Life just yet.
And look at the positioning of his Overlord. There's a huge main base, and he's going to be right. He's actually just going to do a Speedling Nidus all in, and it's going to work because there's nothing to spot for this Overlord.
He even scouts into his opponent's base. He even looks if there's a building. So this is... I think as a pros player, would you really actually think that he would do this?
No.
Is that something you expect?
No.
I've never seen this on this
No,
map.
actually, that's very uncommon. He is making pure Speedling right now. He's about to have 36 of them. Speed is finishing right as he starts Nidus. He's going to go to the south. I like this choice, but he's got a second Overlord in position just in case.
I don't think he's going to need it.
No,
he
won't.
has the Zerglings, he has speed, and he is going for a very risky build. As Wolf said, players prepare for these matches weeks in advance, and he came up with a strategy for this particular map, and he's trying to make it work. The Zerglings, they run in, they try to take the space down immediately. Vines is pulling his probes off, trying to somehow defend against this, but there are Zerglings everywhere, even bringing Queens here for creep tumors and a little bit of anti-air defense, and all those probes, they die. There is no defense. GG, as Life claims victory on map number 1. Look at his picture at the bottom right. He's actually having quite the laugh here. Very, very well played. He went for an all-in strategy and he made it work.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. It was very well planned. He had both the Overlords. And Vines just was not careful enough. He saw that there was no fast third, so he wasn't able to check lair, of course, and he was never, ever in a million years going to be able to see the Nidus network, but he could have been a little bit more careful about spotting where the Overlords were. He made only sentries, which in a way is safe in some regards, but it's not good when your opponent goes for a Speedling Nidus all in, and that was the fastest possible Nidus you could really have. Well executed build. And Vine's now down a game, is going to have to play on another big map. He's going to be playing on Whirlwind. This is just unfortunate for him. We've seen some unfortunate maps, like for example we saw Oz play against JKS on Entombed in his second game when he was up a game. And we're kind of having this again for Vine, so we'll see what he can do, what he's got planned here.
The next map is already loading. We are currently, well, we're looking at the countdown, and this is going to be very interesting as Vine's now down a game, has to really think about what he's going to do here. He has to be very, very careful. Another all-in like this, unscouted, might lose him the best of 3, and therefore his chance to advance in Code A.